Welcome to the Elite Life Podcast with your hosts, Trisha and Kylie. Here, we guide you on a journey of personal and professional transformation, revealing the secrets to success. Whether you're a seasoned pro or just starting out, join us as we unlock the doors to the elite world of growth, grit, and grace. So, let's dive in.
Welcome, friends, to another episode of the Elite Life Podcast. We are so excited to have you here today. My name's Trish. This is Kylie, and we have a very special guest.
Yes, today we're talking to the amazing Dawn Andrews. Dawn is a business strategist, leadership consultant, and a fierce advocate for female leadership. She's the founder and CEO of Free Range Thinking, a boutique consultancy that works with creatives and executives in the entertainment industry and beyond.
Hello, Dawn.
Hi, lovely to see you guys. Even
Yes.
though the rest of the world will only hear us, I'm happy to see you. Nice to meet you.
We actually put this out on YouTube, so we're very excited that we were able to get all of the technicalities out of the way because we were super excited to have a chat with you today.
Yeah,
Well,
so I see you've been on the Oprah Winfrey Network. That's amazing. CBS and CNN. So you are going to be a blockbuster show. I'm so excited to have you, Dawn.
Oh, well, I'm delighted, and I'm so happy to share all of my, leadership and business insights to help your audience.
Fabulous.
I mean, let's dive right in.
All right,
So
let's go.
you are best known for empowering women in leadership and helping their businesses thrive. So can you tell us just start at the beginning and end at the end? That's my phrase that I like to say. Can you just really give us a 30,000 foot view of what inspired you and brought you to this beautiful season in life?
I'm sure you have both experienced this. We live so many lifetimes in the one that we're given here on the planet. And when I first started my company, so I own a boutique business strategy and leadership consultancy called Free Range Thinking. I started it because I was working in corporate life and I wanted to be able to move forward and move up, but I didn't see a pathway for myself. And at the time I thought, maybe I just need to go to a different company, or maybe I need to change my career trajectory. And I look back now and I realize it was a ceiling. It was a leadership ceiling. There was no up for me to go where I was. And so I started the company because I wanted more freedom. I wanted more flexibility in both my professional and personal life. And I wanted the ability to create and innovate and lead, and especially work with other women. And there really aren't that many pathways for women to do that. There's always a stopping point. And so I popped out of the company during a big round of layoffs. I had my first year or so funded by a package that I got, thank God, and just rooted around in the dark and kind of figured it out on my own. I had never run a business before, and I just went for it. And so we're now, that's the beginning part. And the end part is we're now 23 years in business. We have served more than 1,000 clients. We've worked with some of the biggest names and leaders in politics and entertainment and other industries. And I never could have seen that coming. I just was looking for more freedom and flexibility.
That is so inspiring. Wow. And speaking of women in leadership, you've created something really special with the Female Leadership Accelerator. I would love if you could tell me and our listeners a little bit more about that.
Sure. So the Female Leadership Accelerator was born out of the belief that women should hold at least 51% of all leadership positions available on the planet. Yes, girls. And there really is no leadership school. We don't go to school for leadership.
Yeah.
The way most people learn to be better leaders is trial and error, and usually the errors are pretty bumpy and painful, or they're inside a large corporate environment, and you have to receive the nod, the training, the approval that you are worthy of moving forward up their corporate ladder to get the training. And so the female leadership training is the corporate training that we do for leaders inside large companies, but it's available to any woman that wants it.
Nice.
I love
that. Accessibility.
Yeah, and
That's
I
what
think
I'm talking
that
about.
I think that I see a lot of, like parallels, between, we talk to a lot of women who are in really great positions and have, pulled themselves up by their bootstraps or, done like you and just taken a look and said, you know what, I want something different and I want more freedom. That's what led me to real estate. I was looking at my 9-to-5 job where I was under a man and I was not really happy with, I said, there's nowhere for me to go from here. And so I called Trisha and she started life coaching me and made me, not made me, but showed me that everything is figure outable. And so I'm just so glad that you're out there and you're providing that outlet and that pathway for women who might just be in a position like we all once were, where it's like we keep getting fired, we keep losing our jobs, we keep not getting paid what we're worth. And I think that's
82% of the norm.
I think it's just such a beautiful creation, what you have made.
Well, thank you, and good on you for getting out and starting your own thing and moving on and creating your own path. And I want to be clear too that this is not a man bashing situation. The world that I'm building and creating and dreaming of for women, it's just that we are in a patriarchal society. It's not anybody's fault at this point, but now we all recognize it, we see it, and now that we see it, we can make other choices. So I'm very excited for people to be able to get training, step out of corporate if they want to, start their own businesses, and go lead and build something they're proud of.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I love what you said too, because I feel like people don't realize how change is slow. It is very slow.
Yeah.
And when TJ used to work at our office, I used to sit at the table with TJ, who was our top producer, and our managing partner, Andy, and I'd be like, you guys don't understand. As a woman broker, I'm not allowed to be myself or else I'm the B word or I'm, aggressive or I'm all of these negative connotations. You guys can get in and you can say anything and you can even be like, you're an effing piece of crap. And people are like, oh, you're so inspiring. But if I say that, I am awful. And they're like, it's not like that. Come on. It's, 2022. And I'm like, it is absolutely like that. It is absolutely like that. And people want to think that the whole world has changed and it's all equal, but it absolutely is not. For 20 years of my career in real estate, I got, you're a young girl. How could you be a broker? You're just a little girl. Are you serious? It wasn't just you're young. It's you're a young girl. I'm like, I'm sorry. I didn't know a penis was part of being a real estate broker. I didn't get that memo, And like you said, it's not man bashing. It's just this is for real, guys. It's still a thing.
That was one of my triggers when because I originally went to school to be a paralegal and I took the LSAT. I was going to be an attorney because I got so sick. I was doing family law. I got so sick. I was running this law firm by myself, dispensing legal advice under the table. The attorney that I worked for, she was not present. She trusted me with literally everything. So I was basically an attorney without a P number. And I got so sick of other attorneys what I call big boying me. Just because I don't have a P number doesn't mean I'm stupid, and I probably know more than you because I actually do all the paperwork and I do the work. And I like what you said, it's not a man bashing situation. I don't think you need to bash men in order to uplift women.
Yeah, I love it because you're empowering women with tools and resources that they may not know exist. And I know you've worked with some really high achievers. What do you think sets successful female leaders apart from the rest?
I think that we are masters at blending empathy with strategic thinking. You just described your situation running that law firm and being trusted to run the law firm. That's a combination of strategic thinking and getting things done, and then empathy in dealing with some of your male colleagues. We have that in boatloads because of who we've had to be up to this point. And I feel like it's a leadership strength to be able to use those tools to be able to help move companies forward. And we also are really good at inspiring and motivating people, especially if anybody has ever been a parent or even an auntie, it takes a lot to get kids up, off, and out and moving.
Yes,
And we're
preach.
really good at, ooh, girls. Yeah, it takes a lot to get people up, out, and moving and going in the same direction. And we're also really good at that. In fact, there's a Pew Research study that was concluded in 2022 that side by side, both in business and politics, compared top leadership skills for men and women. And women were matched or outperformed men in every single one of them, except the perception of women as risk takers. That was the only area that in the measurement of this particular study that we were slightly, not dramatically, but slightly less than when it came to our stats. And truly, I think it had more to do with perception than it has to do with reality, because there are so many women I know that are leading great companies, doing amazing things in the world. I mean, let's just talk Beyonce and Taylor Swift for instance. Like, there's no bigger risk takers on the planet, I think, than those women. So we are great at all of those things, and that's what I think sets us apart, is not only those individual ingredients, but the whole collective enchilada, if you will.
Yes, yeah. So, like, for our women that are listening who want to step into leadership and want more, but they don't know where to start, I think that, again, like, going back to the patriarchal society, like, women really are taught from the beginning to stay small. It really is a part of a lot of our narratives. Less now than before, we'll give them that, but it really still is. Like, where do you think is a good way for them to start?
Yeah, there's a thing that I teach called the purposeful leadership model. It starts at the beginning with personal mastery and impact. And what I mean by that is understanding what your own unique strengths are in relationship to leadership. And I have folks take a leadership assessment when they start working with me, so that people feel like, oh my gosh, it's like a leadership BuzzFeed quiz. And it is, but it isn't. It's been taken by more than 1.5 million people. It's about 128 questions. It's very exhaustive. But you come away from it really understanding what is uniquely yours. And once you understand that you are somebody who is a great listener first, or you are somebody that biases towards action and you get things done, or you're somebody that really is great at building network and community, or you're somebody that slows people down and makes sure that we've figured out all the steps to get from where we are now to the bigger vision. Like, once you have a greater understanding of your strengths, then you can leverage those to move into the next level of the pyramid, which is influence. So the place to start is understanding yourself better, and then the next step is to start building community, because women move forward in community.
I will wholeheartedly support that, because, I mean, look at my business. So Trisha's our broker, and we do have obviously men, but the thing is most of our agents are women, because I think that you could either be described as intimidating or inspiring.
I get both.
And I think that
amen to that. I'm just gonna say yes.
And I think that, women are just drawn to you because you are unashamedly, if that's a real word, like, you are just unabashedly yourself. You really enjoy using your story and just, like, holding the door open. Like, you've got your arms and legs in the door, and you're like, come on under my arm, I'm gonna get you through. Like, I can honestly say I would not have made the transition into real estate without you, which means I wouldn't have a house, I wouldn't be happy, I would be stressed out, I would probably be divorced, like, if I believed in that. But it is really important for women who, whether they're in a situation where they're unhappy or they're just trying to figure out their purpose, because especially as moms, I feel like it's so easy, or for, like, stay-at-home moms, I'm constantly encouraging my stay-at-home mom friends to have a hobby, because it's so easy to lose yourself in wifery and motherhood, and that's okay, because that is part of our identity, but that's not all of who we are. And I love that you guys are out here and able to just remind women that, like, you have a purpose outside of these other things.
Yeah, and I think speaking to what you just spoke of, I love that you guys do that assessment and that it's so thorough. One of the things that I used to always say is like, well, I'm not creative, Andy's the creative one. And then I took this entrepreneurship class and they're like, creativity is not just I can draw a picture on a piece of paper. Like you created a company, you created another company, you created a training program. And like that assessment helps us undo these false narratives we're saying in our head. And going back to what you said, Kylie, you know, we as women especially, and how we talked about in our last episode, we get in these roles and these identities, and this is what we think we are. And it takes a company like yours, Dawn, or me with you, Kylie, to say, oh, you are much more than that. Let me show you 100%. What I see.
Yeah.
Let me tell you what I'm hearing. I'm watching you utilize all of these skills and be amazing at this and that can translate to so much more. So that is an amazing resource, Dawn. Kudos for putting that together.
Of course. Well, and what a great moment of acknowledgement and recognition between the two of you. I'm glad I was here to witness it.
Oh, it's a love fest all the time.
Holding the door open. You know what I mean? We talk about holding space.
Yeah.
You want the holding space for other women. The way I describe it is I ask people if they've ever snuck into a movie theater before and if they've snuck their friends in. And that is the moment that we're in as women right now. There is an opening between, like, regardless of your politics, the fact that for the second time in history, we have a woman that is running for president that's nominated by a major party in the 248 years of our democracy, there's an opening. The fact that 50% of the athletes in the Olympics were women for the first time in its 128-year history. That's a bigger opening. So it's like the back door to the movie theater is open, like rush all your friends in while you can.
Yes, absolutely. And doing something this big that you've done, I know as a business builder myself, like you have to have some really strong tools, and I would love to know what like tools and resources you use and you give that kind of keep your life and business and clients organized. I think that's always kind of like the crux of it all is like, you can't just do it alone. Like I made a goal and then I did the goal. Like you need some tools and resources. What do you use?
Yeah. So I feel like everybody, whether you run a business or not, everybody needs a CRM, a customer relations management system. Yes.
Yeah.
Some people use Contacts on the iPhone. I use Daylight on the Mac.
Okay.
And it handles all of my contacts, all their notes, when we're scheduled to meet, when I'm meant to follow up with them, like the whole, essentially it's my brain on the outside. That, along with Evernote, is where I keep all of my notes and thinking, because both are very searchable tools. Mm-hmm. So even if I go, who is that one person that I talked to about the cheese sandwich like in 2020? And I can type those things in and it'll find me my person that I'm trying to reconnect with.
That's amazing.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah, I got to have that on the outside. I also, I'm a big fan of all things Google Drive or Google Workspace, because they're very shareable with our clients. And we use Slack for email. We've taken team and company email out of regular emailing because we need to be able to find our topics and do our work without it lost in, sometimes people's inboxes can be totally outrageous. So
mine is offensive.
Yeah, so we use Slack. And then I am a power user of AI. Like I use ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, like I use all of those tools religiously, daily, almost all day for various work with my clients, for work with ourselves, work inside our company. To help build and take some of the heat off marketing and sales.
Yeah.
So yeah, those are my favorite tools.
How big is your team?
My committed team is 3.
Okay.
And then we pull in outside contractors depending upon the needs of the client. So we're a very, very scrappy, lean, get a mountain of work done with a very small group of people team.
But I like that because then people know, like, if you're listening to our podcast and you're like, ooh, I want to work with Dawn's company, you're going to work with Dawn. You're going to work directly with maybe one or two people, because I think that's really important. And it's hard because as companies grow, you know, you said you've serviced thousands of people. People, they blend with you. Like you said, people come to the brokerage to see me. And when I moved, I had this like grandiose plan that I wouldn't go in our Livonia office. And what I found was I have to go to our Livonia office because people come to Livonia office to see me, right?
Yeah.
So I think that that's fantastic that you have built an organization where when people hear you speak on your podcast or on our podcast or on Oprah's network, they know that they will get the same experience as you are talking about. And I would love if you would kind of share, what does that experience look like? If I'm like, okay, Dawn, I need you in my life. Let's go. What does that look like?
Yeah. So depending upon how people come to me, and it's usually through referral, if you are a company that is $1 million plus minimum, we will sit and talk about what your intentions and goals are. Like, where are you trying to go with your company and what's holding you up so far? And in our initial conversation, I will go through everything. Like, sometimes it feels a little vulnerable and a little embarrassing, but if you don't kind of share what the real is, then there's not a lot that I can do to help get to the bottom of it and move you forward. So we usually have an initial conversation. Over that time period, I figure out what's going on for your business. I can usually do it in the first 15 or 20 minutes. There are some core levers that I pull to see, like, you have a problem with your team, you have a problem with your leadership, or you have a problem with your operations and your model. Those are usually the first three places I look. And then once we have that in mind, I talk to you about, where do you want to go? What do you want to build? What are you trying to create here? Not only from a revenue perspective, but also with your people and your team. Like, what kind of world do you want to live in day to day? And what do you want to leave when you leave your business? And once we have that in mind, then we put a plan together and start work.
I love that. So how long does, I know it's going to be different for every single person, but how long does working with you usually, like, what does that look like? Like, if, again, like, I raise my hand, we go through our initial setup. Am I talking to you once a week? Am I talking to you once a month? Am I talking to you once a month for 6 months? Like, what does that normally look like?
Yeah, it changes by the business and by the goal. But for us to really get some good work done, it's a minimum 6-month engagement, because we're getting to know each other and I'm getting to know the inner workings of your business in those first 4 to 6 weeks. So if you want to really move something forward, we pick, where do you want to be in 6 months? And then depending upon what the answer to that is and what we see are the problems and things that are in the way, that will dictate how frequently we meet.
I love that. What is, this just came to my mind. I'm like, what is a common obstacle or problem that you see? Like, man, all right, we see this every time.
What we see every time, yeah, it's a great question. What we see every time is people at the leaders, especially, and founders at the limits of their capacity. So they started something, they added team, they grew, they added team, they grew, they added team, they grew. And the systems, the people, and the way that they are working cannot reach a next level of growth. Like, they've hit the top ceiling of how they are doing things, and it will not allow them to scale any further. And the founder usually is working 80-hour, 100-hour weeks. They no longer have their weekends. They're struggling with their family. They're struggling to keep their eye on all the different balls that are going. And basically at that point, we break the business down and rebuild it so that it has a growth path.
Yeah, I could see that for sure, because I know one thing that I always have to stop myself is I'll be like, well, only I can do this. That's a lie.
Yes. Oh, girl. No.
She's like, no, Kylie can do this. Kylie, do it.
No.
Every time those words go to come out of my mouth now, I'm like, nope, that is not true. That is not true.
Not true. So not
And
true.
you know, hearing you say that when you had your revelation, it really helped me with my home system. So I've got a 10-year-old daughter, an 8-year-old daughter, a 3-year-old son. and my husband. And my husband, he's very empathetic. Like he's my best friend. We are an amazing team. And he's one of those ones where he's more than happy he has no qualms about like jumping in, doing dishes, doing laundry, bathing children. Like we definitely load share for sure, because we understand that we need each other in order to make this happen. And I had to come to a place where I recognize I don't have to do all the housework. I don't have to fold the towels. My 10-year-old can fold the towels. It may not be beautiful, but it will be done, and it will also empower her as well.
100%.
Just handing that stuff off.
100%. Yeah, I mean, sometimes some of the things that I face with the founders are exactly what you're talking about. We need to rework how they're doing their personal life as well as their business life.
Yeah, that's true.
They feed together. They really do. They really do.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure.
So if people want to work with you, how do they find you? How does one find Dawn?
Yes, you find me at dawnandrews.com. And you can also look at our specific business website, which is freerangethinking.com. But the universe of all that I offer in terms of business, leadership, the podcast, articles, resources, and downloads for free to help you with your business and your team, all of that is at dawnandrews.com. And then I'm predominantly on LinkedIn as Free Range Thinking and as Dawn Andrews. And I also like Instagram because it's pretty. You can find me there at Free Range Thinking.
What is your podcast called?
It's called She's That Founder.
She's That Founder. And can you, what platforms can you listen? Because I'm going to go listen.
All the things. All
She's
of
on
them.
Apple,
so
Trish.
You can find
She's
us
on
on Apple, Spotify, Stitcher, Google.
Everywhere where they're listening to us.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Producer Dave will link in our show notes. Listeners, make sure you go to those show notes. We're going to make sure we link all of Dawn's sites and her podcasts and everything so we can all dig in deeper and learn some things.
I love it. I love it.
I have a gifty for you guys. Would you like a little gifty?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, I have a tool called the People Reading Guide. And it's a quick type way. So remember we were talking about the larger assessment that I do?
Yes.
So there's like a speedy version of it. So it's called
Okay.
People Reading Guide. And it will give you an opportunity to figure out quickly what your type or style is and also the people that you work with. So if there's somebody in your organization that you'd really like to have a better, more fruitful working relationship with, you can do the two types and see where you're similar or different. And once you understand yourself better and you understand them better, a lot of times the heat of a relationship comes down so that you can actually communicate.
Trisha,
so I'm
we
gonna give
need that so
away
you
for
and
free.
I stop fighting all the time.
We literally just keep saying the same things all day long.
We do. We are slowly morphing into the same person. But thank you, Dawn, so much. That's such a blessing. And it has been such a pleasure having you on the show. I'm so excited. And I hope everybody just like grabbed all the nuggets from the
any last
conversation.
things you want to share with our listeners that we didn't get to ask you yet that you love to just put out in the universe?
I want every woman out there to realize that though change can be slow, if each one of us steps forward, one step, we're 49.72% of the population. So if each woman takes one step forward in leadership, then the speed of change can be a quantum leap.
Yes, I love that. You are my people, Dawn. Thank you so much. This has lit up my soul.
Oh, yes, me too. Me too. So for our listeners, we are so thankful that you joined us today. We hope you enjoyed the discussion. If you like the show, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a thing because we drop fresh content every single week. So we will see you next Thursday on The Elite Life.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us today on the Elite Life Podcast with Trish and Kylie. Don't forget to share this episode with a friend so we can keep delivering you more fantastic insights on grit, grace, and growth. Stay connected with us on Instagram and Facebook, where we'll keep the ideas flowing to help you build a life you love and leave a legacy you can be proud of. Until next time.